Hello, and welcome back to Life Lessons with Sheila, or welcome if you're new. For those who are new, I am Sheila. I like to write devotionals and share them with you. So if that is your thing, then make sure you smash that subscribe button and on the notification bell, select all so that you can be notified anytime I go live, share a short, upload onto my community tab, or share a video, which is all done between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let's hop into today's video, shall we? Remaining in God, reflecting His holiness in our words and actions. In a world filled with misunderstandings, conflicts, and miscommunications, it can be easy to respond in frustration. When people don't see things our way, when they misinterpret our intentions, or when we feel unheard, the temptation is to lash out, raise our voices, or even wish harm upon those who have wronged us. But is this how God operates? That answer is a resounding no. God does not respond with anger, cursing, or ill intent when people misunderstand Him. Instead, He patiently seeks to communicate in a way that reaches our hearts. He never compromises His holiness or His love in the process. Likewise, as His children, we are called to reflect His nature, to remain in Him so that He remains in us. In John 15:4, Jesus says, "Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me." Remaining in God means staying connected to Him through prayer, through His Word, and through our actions. It means that His nature shapes our responses, our attitudes, and our words. And what is that nature? Holiness. 1 Peter 1:15-16 tells us, "But just as He who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, 'Be holy, because I am holy.'" Holiness is not just about avoiding sin. It's about actively reflecting God's character in every situation. If we claim to abide in Him, then we must mirror His love, His patience, and His grace, especially when we face opposition or misunderstanding. When people misunderstand God, He doesn't lash out or retaliate. Instead, He meets them where they are and continues to reveal Himself through His love and truth. God's patience is evident in how He calls us to repentance. 2 Peter 3:9 tells us, "The Lord is not slow in keeping His promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, He is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance." God's love remains steadfast, even when people reject Him. But God demonstrates His own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. It's Romans 5:8. God speaks in a still, small voice, not through chaos and rage. When Elijah sought to hear from God, the Lord did not come in a mighty wind, an earthquake, or a fire, but instead in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:11-12. His voice brings clarity and peace, not confusion or destruction. A.W. Tozer once said, "To be right with God has often meant to be in trouble with man." People will misunderstand us when we choose to live righteously, but our response must always reflect God's holiness, not human frustration. God does not desire that we become bitter, angry, or vengeful. His goal is for us to be transformed into the image of Christ, the very best version of ourselves. Transformation happens when we allow God to renew our minds. Romans 12:2 tells us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." Growth comes when we surrender our weaknesses to God. 2 Corinthians 12:9 tells us, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And spiritual maturity is reflected in our ability to control our words. Proverbs 18:21 tells us, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." If we are truly abiding in God, then our responses, whether spoken or unspoken, must align with His will. We are called to be holy, set apart, and representatives of Christ to the world in every situation, not just the ones that come easy. Here's 5 reflective questions, and I would love it if you guys would respond in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. The first question is, what does remaining in God look like in your daily life? And how do you stay connected to Him even during difficult situations? Secondly, have you ever faced a situation where you wanted to react in frustration, but instead chose to respond with God's grace? And how did it impact you and others? Third, why do you think it's so important for Christians to reflect God's holiness in their words and actions? What challenges have you faced in doing this? Fourth, can you recall a time when God communicated with you in a gentle whisper rather than a loud or obvious way? And how did that experience shape your faith? And lastly, what is one step that you can take this week to ensure your responses align with God's holiness, even when you feel misunderstood or frustrated? When faced with misunderstanding, hurt, or opposition, ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I remaining in God, or am I reacting out of my own frustration? Do my words reflect the patience and holiness of God? And how can I communicate truth in a way that glorifies Him? God is not in the business of yelling, cursing, or wishing harm on people who didn't understand Him. Neither should we. Instead, we are called to remain in Him, reflect His holiness, and become the best version of ourselves, just as He intends. As Oswald Chambers once said, "Holiness, not happiness, is the chief end of man." Stay connected to the vine and let His holiness be the light that guides your every response. I hope you got everything out of this particular devotional that I put into it. God really led me to some amazing scriptures, and I'm very blessed with where He's taken my channel. I thank you for hanging in there with me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.